Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and I hope you enjoyed my notary back to basics video. But this one, the Facebook groups are definitely my inspo for a lot of my videos, because I just see a lot of notary thoughts, comments, XYZ. I already have a video about how to price your business, but I also just see a lot of complaints, thoughts, concerns regarding price, from a signing service. It's also why I have why you shouldn't rely on signing services. So signing services definitely have they want to make their profit margins, right? There are some signing services who become signing services without increasing their profit margin. They know that they have access to notaries with these groups, with these databases, and you can call up a notary and say, hey, I have a signing in your area for X price. And you may have a notary that's going to take it for X price, $40. I'm seeing signings from signing services, because I do also have signing service business. I do take signing service business, but I don't take anything under my bottom line. And even my bottom line is generally going to be within my county, my service area. I'm not going that far, friends. Not at all. There are some people who are taking $60, $40 signings, $30 signings, and going hella far. That's just not the way that I run my business. And there are a lot of people who are making complaints, opinions regarding that. And back to a signing service and their profit margin, right? I may charge title, my direct client, let's go with $200. Now, if I want to keep my profit margin, I may give it, I've seen notaries give it for, and I work with a signing service who gives it for $125. So off a $200 deal, because I've seen it, right, written on the settlement statement when I get it, I've seen the signing service only charge $200 to their client, which is title. They're only making $75 off the deal. Maybe that might be what they charge for a mail away. Maybe that's what they charge for notaries that they work with often, because this specific signing service that I'm referencing, I've been working with them for 5 years. They pay $125. They pay well. All signing services that I work with, I get paid $100 and up. And then even then, I stay within my area, my home base, my county, because I live in a city. And in my city and my county, it's a city area. It's not rural. So I have a notary mentee who lives in Pennsylvania, and they're driving 20 miles is 20 minutes. Me driving 20 miles can be an hour plus. So our pricing can be different, or it can be the same, depending on how they want to structure their time. So all distances is not the same. So when I see in the notary groups that people are asking for fair pay, equal pay, and being fair, please realize that we are independent contractors. There's always going to be people who are going to take it for less, and that's fine. That's how they want to structure their business, because for some people, volume is their priority. If they do it for a low cost, they have high volume, and that's how they want to structure and deal with and do their business. It's not my business how another notary, if they want to take a $60 signing, but I won't do it for that price, that's none of my business, because that's not the way that I run and structure my business. When I'm in these groups and people ask a question, I just give an answer of what I do. I'm not saying that you have to do that. If that doesn't work in your market, right? Every market is different. I'm also a real estate agent, right? Where I live, a single family in my county you are probably not looking at a single family under a nice one that you don't really have to put a lot of work into, 700,000 in the county that I live in, right? Like, you go to a different area, which, because I do closings, I just did a closing not too long ago. He found me on Google, called me up, and he lives in my city. I did a closing with him. He's an investor. He bought a 4-unit property for $275,000. A complete different market. That market and where he bought a 4-unit property for $275,000. In the market which I live, that would have definitely been over $1 million. 2 units where I live right now can go for $1 million. 1.2. Next door is a 2-unit that went for 1.2. I sold a different market in a different county, neighboring county to where I live. Sold the property, 2 units for $700,000. He bought 4 for $275,000. So it's the same thing in regards to like you being a notary. It's not going to be the same. Our drives aren't going to be the same. I have to pay for parking in the market that I service. Most people might pull up, and the other day, last month, I did 4 closings all in the burbs. All in the burbs. I pulled up right in front of the house. I pulled up in their driveway. I didn't have to pay for parking. But I couldn't see the numbers on the houses. I'll take my city closings all day. Of course, I still have to like pay for parking, whether that be metered street parking, or sometimes I have to pay a parking garage because that's, again, the area that I service. So what I'm doing may not reflect what you're doing. I've already spoken about this in another video, but I feel the need. I have the calling to speak about it again, just because so many people, notaries, are just screaming for fair wages, and we didn't become independent contractors. I already have a video about this. Stop begging for money. Stop begging for crumbs. You became an independent contractor to make your own decisions and take what you want to take. I remember making a comment in a notary group regarding that I don't take a certain amount. I don't do X. And another notary commented and said that they can afford not to take a $60 signing. And maybe you can get the volume and that's okay for you, right? Maybe your market is booming, because in 2020, I was doing that a lot. I was taking a lot of $70, $85 signings, but going hella far. But I was running in the negative. Like, when I go and look at, I use Notary Gadget to track my signings, and when I look at my earlier days as a notary, your girl was in the negative. Be effing for real. I was in the negative because it tracks your notarizations, it tracks your mileage, and I was going hella far. But for me, I was just like, oh, like, I'm just doing it for the experience, and I ran in the negative. If you think about the cost of your paper, the cost of toner, gas, mileage, all of those things can run you in the negative. I was still working a 9-to-5, so it didn't really bother me that I was running in the negative. And then once I became full-time, I realized I can't be running a business in the negative, because what's the point? I might as well continue teaching. So let's reel it back into what I want to talk about, right? Like, distance isn't the same for everyone. Pricing is not going to be the same for everyone. So I know, like, again, I see people in the groups, notaries need to stop accepting X, $60, these lowball signings. But for you and your market, that might be ideal, and that might be ideal for someone else. Or their business structure is taking the volume. Because like I said, in 2020, I was taking the volume. Signings was going crazy. I was taking the volume versus versus pricing correctly for the work and printing and the mileage that I was doing, right? So 20 miles in a more rural area, less city type of area, 20 miles may legit take you 20 minutes. I drove to South Jersey not too long ago because I do offer courier services. That's an additional fee. And I went an hour out. Once I was like out of the city, that 20 miles that I had left to get there was 20 minutes. Whereas if I do 20 miles in the city, that can take me an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Or I gotta pay several tolls. If that's not your situation, you don't have to take any of that into consideration, right? So what one notary life is, drive time is not going to be the same for you, okay? So yeah, 20 miles might be an hour, 45 minutes, 75 minutes plus and tolls. So it's not going to be the same for everyone, and that's why I feel like when it comes to that pricing conversation, it's not going to be the same. I can tell you what I charge all day, and that's not going to work in your market because you may work in a completely different market than I do. The same thing with real estate and real estate agents. What they price and what they choose to do, it's a completely different market where you're charging for a single family in a market that is different city to city, county to county. That similar single family is not going to be the same. I live in very close proximity to New York City. Once you start going further out from New York City, those prices tend to drop. And it's going to be the same thing as a notary. So you're going to have to consider your traffic, your congestion, sitting in that traffic, lights on the way, construction, parking delays. You know how many times that I'm either right on time or still 10 minutes late, although I arrived 20 minutes early, 30 minutes early, and me circling for parking, sometimes I'm still late. It drives me insane. I can leave an hour before and still be 10 to 15 minutes late when I'm going somewhere. That may not be the life of someone who lives in the burbs or a more rural area. Okay, some costs that I feel like people don't put into play. How big is a loan package? Thank goodness now we have some signers who have like hybrids. They sign partial of it digitally and then you only have a certain part that's hybrid. Like when I get hybrids, they may be like 60 pages. That's great. We love that. But a loan package can vary anywhere from, like, if it's a hybrid, I'm going to go with 60 because that's what I've seen. Maybe different banks may look different. Because I believe Rocket Mortgage hybrids are like 30 pages, I think. I don't know. Something like that. I haven't done them in a long time. I've raised my prices so they don't call me too often. But I don't care. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't bother me at all. And you have to print them twice. So yes, someone might tell you, oh, you only have to print 125 pages. Not true. Because if I have to print for the buyer or the seller, it can range anywhere from 250 to 300 pages. You have to think about the wear and tear of your printer. Paper, toner costs, all of those things come into play. Paper is not cheap. It is not cheap at all. The way inflation has got us is insane. My prices have only increased over time because, again, paper has gotten more expensive. Gas has gotten more expensive. The wear and tear of things. You have to go to the mechanic. Oil changes are more frequent than when you're not doing this. Take all of those things into consideration. The cost of your insurance comes into play. Think like a business owner. Please do it. You are not an employee. You're independent contractor. All you can do is negotiate. If somebody does not accept, move on. But if you are structuring your business more in volume and you think that that's more important, that is the way that you are choosing to run your business. It is not a signing services job to think about your profit margins. Just in the same way, it's not your job to think about their profit margins. You are either going to accept, not accept, and call it a day. And again, in your more metro areas, we have to think about tolls. I have tolls in my area, paid parking, and then of course like the risk of tickets. I haven't gotten a ticket as a notary, but as a real estate agent, I've definitely gotten tickets. I'm gonna run inside because there's no parking, and I'm gonna park here, double park, things like that. That happens. I choose to take those risks. It's not the signing service's job to consider those risks, right? And then there's real-time expenses. Think about your time that you are prepping documents. It takes me about like 20 minutes to prep the documents. Your drive time, round trip. There are only two FedExes in my county. So Friday, I did a closing where it was FedEx. It was close to my house, the signing, although I didn't come from my house. I came from another county, drove back to the county where I live. This closing was probably 5 minutes from my house, and I had to go back another 10 miles to go to the FedEx and sit in traffic for like an hour. Going there and coming back. You need to consider those things, but you only get to consider those things once you start doing it in real life, practicing in real life. Because I didn't always think about that. And once I started to see like, yo, it's taking me an hour to drive 7 miles. That is not someone's reality. Someone may take someone for 7 miles all day and like, bruh, but I'm sitting in traffic for like 10 years. So consider what your traffic looks like going somewhere, how long the signing is going to take. If you are new or they're a first-time home buyer, they may have a lot of questions, and that is okay. It is a big transaction for them, and they may have a lot of questions where you need to call title because it's not your place to ask certain things. For instance, I had a signing the other day, and they were like, oh, like, so you're just the notary. And I'm like, I am. I can only tell you what something is. Like, I gave them an affidavit of title. There was a signer who was on the loan, but he wasn't the homeowner. He wasn't on the deed per se. And there was a question that was asked that I couldn't answer. Why do I have to fill out the title of affidavit? I can't answer that question. Title gave it. And the attorney was there. The attorney told him that he didn't have to sign it. Then title came back and told him that he had to sign it and pointed out where he should read that he's not listed as the owner of the property. But again, he was on the loan for the property. That's not my place to answer. It is not my place to answer. His attorney advised. Title came back after reviewing the documents, and then we made the adjustment, and it was all good. You have your admin follow-up. All of these things, please think about that when you're taking your assignments. How long is scanbacks going to take? I notice how long scanbacks take me. I tend to do scanbacks in my car. So I have to take out the scanner. I put it in a bag. I scan in my front seat. It's what I prefer. Hook it up, plug everything into each other, and scanning back and packing back up, that takes me an additional 20 minutes in my car. So if you're adding up all that time, that can be like 3 to 4 hours of your day. Again, depending on how long your signing takes. That can be 3 to 4 hours of your day. And I've seen some notaries in the groups where once they break down their time, it's $16 an hour. If we bring up the whole market thing, that is minimum wage where I live. I didn't make minimum wage. I was a teacher. I didn't make minimum wage as a teacher. As a teacher, I made about $25 an hour. And I don't want to make that when I break it down. I do not want to make $25 an hour. However, if you're in a different state where your hourly wage or your minimum wage is $7 an hour, $16 an hour, $15 an hour. Once you break down your time, maybe great, because that is your market. Again, I didn't get into this business to make minimum wage. Minimum wage here, I think, is like $15 an hour, maybe 18. I don't know. I stopped tracking that because I am not a hourly employee. But I still then look at what I made as a teacher, and I believe that was $25 an hour. I didn't do this to make $25 an hour. I did this to make more than that. So if my wage is not at least, my target is to make anywhere from $40 to $50 an hour, bare minimum. So if I break down my time and it's less than that, something like that, it's not worth my time. So is $75 worth that to you? It could be. 175. And this is just because I had an offer like this for a buyer's package that was 20 miles away from me, plus tolls. So if we use a 4-hour example, me getting there, me coming back, and then, because I also had another signing that day. So me coming back to this area, this county, break it down by 4. Not too bad. That is $43 an hour if you break it down. That is below what I would like to make. And if I took out the tolls on that route going and coming, so if I minus the tolls, those tolls were, round trip was $14. Oops. Why do I keep doing that? The struggle is real. So that's $29 an hour if I take out the tolls, and if I take out gas, and if I take out printing. I'm making less than I did as a teacher. $175 and going that far isn't worth it. I'll do $175 if it's here where I live. The city's only 3 miles long. I'll do that, but then I gotta consider if it's FedEx, I gotta drive 10 miles out. That might take me an additional hour, and I gotta come back home. Might not really be worth it. I did counter. They didn't accept. And that's okay. I didn't care. I turned it down, and I got 3 directs that next day. That same day for like the following day. That same day I got offered 3 directs. I took that. So me turning that down meant nothing to me, because the next day I made $600. I don't have a limited mindset. I know that money comes to me easily, frequently, and abundantly. That's the mindset that I have, point blank, period. I don't care. I countered, and the reason why I countered, I have to pay tolls. It's 20 miles away from me, and I'm going to stand on it. So we can either bring it back up or find another notary. The person didn't respond. I think that's super unprofessional, not responding. But hey, what do I know? Run your business how you want to run your business. Right? So you have the risk and opportunity. We think about delays, which that happens. Your traffic liability, errors that's not made by you. I went out to a signing not too long ago. I spoke about it in my last video where the name didn't match. I printed, I prepped, I drove there, and the signing didn't happen because I had to refuse. Yes, you also take the risk of non-payment when you're working with signing services. That doesn't happen to me when I work direct. I'm going to be paid, point blank, period. You find me on Google, you pay before I see you. I am paid at booking when you find me directly. Some people don't want to run their business that way. That is your business decision. Again, some people in a group commented, someone asked a question, hey, do you take a deposit because someone didn't show up? I don't take deposits. I get paid in full. Someone tried to come for my neck about it, and if I would choose another notary, that's great. Choose another notary. You wouldn't be my client base. People who tend to we don't even speak, because you can see and go to my website, oh, I have to pay at booking, and you go, I don't even talk to you. It's And that, again, that is okay with me. I run my real estate business the same way. To go see a house, you have to sign an agreement in order to see a house. And that sounds really aggressive for some people. I get that. But it's also the law. Some people don't do it because they are scared to lose business. So they show houses and risk losing their license because they don't want to lose potential business. I almost thought about it, side note, going into real estate. I almost thought about these buyers. They already pre-approved. They were great on paper, but they didn't want to sign this agreement. And if I showed them this property, if I did not stand on business, they would have did exactly what I was afraid of. Because that's exactly what they did. Number one, they pulled out of a deal somewhere else. Number two, they would have used me to go view the property. The agreement makes sure that if I show them the property, I'm owed compensation for showing you the property and doing XYZ. They already saw it for free at an open house. But what they wanted to do was use me to see the property, go put in an offer directly with the listing agent, and that's exactly what they did. I knew said listing agent, so I already knew what was up. I would have lost compensation and also potentially have to sue this client. But I stood on business and I was not doing it. But if I was, as some people say, commission breath, as some people like to do, and still show them the property, risking putting their license at risk, thinking, okay, I'm just going to show you anyway, you might like me, and put in an offer. That wasn't happening in that case. And I don't care. I don't care. That's how I choose to run my real estate business. Is also how I choose to run my notary business. I'm not negotiating how I feel. You can go find somebody else. I'm standing on what I'm standing on, and you need to be too. I said in a previous video, I started it at $40. And once I realized, which no one ever booked me at $40. No one ever booked me at that price. People told me I was too expensive. And once my prices actually got on the expensive side, I've had way more bookings at that price point than I did at $40. I already spoke about that. So think about what you're giving up when you expect a job, when you are accepting a job. Please run that mileage. If you're using Notary Gadget, it's going to tell you the mileage. And once you start seeing that, I was always using Notary Gadget, and I would see what that mileage would look like. And it shows you your profit off your signings. I saw someone post, I think they made 100,000 just signing services because of the type of area that they lived in, but their profit margin was like $40 a signing. And I thought that was wild. But that's how they're choosing to run their business. It's not my place to be like, yo, you're doing it wrong. That's not my place to do that. That's how they are choosing to run their business. That is none of my business. Because I need to focus on me and what I'm doing. Okay, so are you doing estate planning? Same day general notary work, direct clients? How are you choosing to run your business is your business. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I want you to be in the green. I don't want you to be in the red. So I use the example of somebody offering me $175. The package was for $175. It was from Arizona. $175 might be the top tier in Arizona. But in New Jersey, again, that was 20 miles. What did I say? $14 going and coming back regarding tolls. It would have taken me an hour to get there. I don't believe that area I would have had to pay for parking. But do you see how that's not the same? In Arizona, they may be paying the notaries $175 just because it's going to be more rural, I assume. I've only been in Arizona to visit. So the math that makes sense, the math that's math in Arizona, that math doesn't math in Jersey. I stood on it and I'm like, when I countered, I gave you the reasons why I countered. They didn't feel the need to accept that I'm super experienced and I'm about my business. They still chose to price shop or find a notary that might take that. I wasn't driving that. I hope they found a notary that was close. Or maybe they found a notary that was in my same city and still decided to take that job. That is, again, A-okay with me. None of my business. 3 directs right afterwards. And I made guap. Paid all the same day I was paid. So I'm not mad at it at all. So just think about where those things are coming from, where those signings are coming from. The profit margin for that signing service may be low. Not your responsibility to care, because I don't care. I'm gonna counter at what I need to counter at. Because if you're sending it out to me or calling me, hey, can you do a signing? This is how much it costs. I can't take it at that price, because I don't want my profit margins to be low. I can't be in the negative for you, especially if we're not going to do business again. I do this signing for you once as a favor, or as me having what's the word that I'm looking for? I never remember it. I'm going to go with limited mindset. Me believing that I'm not going to get another signing. Oh, I should take it. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. And I take it into being negative, and I may never work with you again. That's not worth it to me. Now, if you may have the volume, it's all in my city, I may consider taking that. I don't have to go that far. Your packages are small. I may take that. So it's, when we're talking about, because again, in these groups, people are talking about fairness of being paid. It's not about that. Like, does the business math make sense for you? Do you have to pay for parking? Do you have to pay for tolls? How long does it take you to get there? Printing costs, prep cost, like all of those things. Like, does that make sense for you? If it makes sense for you, honey, take it. Don't let another notary come on your face and tell you not to take it because in their area it goes for X. I can't tell you, oh, like you should be getting paid $250 and your market doesn't call for that. Doesn't make any sense. Using the same scenario of like real estate, I can't tell you to list a single family for $600, $700, $800. I've seen some single families for $1 million, and your market, your single families are for $4 million. That doesn't make sense. And the same thing happens in real estate. The same thing happens for notaries. So just make sure that you know what your market looks like. You know what that charges are like. You're considering your timing. And if you have to counter, please don't be afraid to counter. Don't be afraid to say no. There's power in saying no. I was hesitant about saying no for that $175. The rest of my week, I didn't have anything for the rest of the week. And I was like, should I take it? This week is looking kind of slow. And again, right after I said no, 3 signings came to my plate at my full price ask. I'm not negotiating with nobody because the universe is going to provide. If you believe in whatever you believe in, the higher, whatever it is, they are going to provide if you believe. If you don't, you are going to forever be chasing commission breath, begging for scraps. Don't do that. That's not who I want you to be as a notary. But if that's who you want to be as a notary, that's none of my business either. Because I'm trying to grow and learn my business and hustle and make my goals. So our goals may not be the same. We may not be aligned in how we want to run our business. But just understand that pay is not going to be universal in where you live. Think about, do the math. The math makes sense for you if you have the volume and it makes sense to you and your business. Do it, honey. Absolutely do it if that math makes sense to you. All right, so more notary content that's rooted in the reality, not just the hype. Please subscribe to your girl. I hope that you made it to the end. If you did, type in holla at your girl if you made it to the end. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.